Hello YouTube fans, here again. Now I did the original, why not this one? I did it before and I did say on one of my videos that I'll probably now and again return to my films and feel if I can do a better job. That being Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. Now after the big success of the original one, a couple of years later, they decided to do the sequel. I almost forgot to say though, in the original one, there was another good scene I love, and that's the scene with the steak moving about, opens up, you've got the maggots coming out, and that guy pulls his face off. Bit, some of it's a bit dated now, but for the time, I thought them effects just freaked me the fuck out. They really were dud, practical old school effects. And again, because of the success of the original, they decided to make a sequel. Sad to say though, John Hooper at the time, I think right, he was going to be doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, because it roughly come out the same year. So he was probably doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. After the issues what Steven Spielberg had when he was doing the original Poltergeist, he decided he wasn't going to do a second Poltergeist film. Very similar to like what he did when he did Jaws. He decided, no, I don't want to do a Jaws 2. The original is the classic, it's the best, blah, blah, blah. So basically that was it. So they had to find another director. Now any director has to take on the wheels or the fucking golden horse of Steven Spielberg deserves an award. Think about it. Look at Jaws 2 and the director that died to make it just as dud as the original one. Granted, it wasn't as dud. No, but I still think the director did a good job. And this director does a good job as well. I believe, sad to say, he's no longer with us, may he rest. But the director did not do a bad job as directors go. He's a hell of a lot better than Poltergeist 3. Believe me, it's a hell of a lot better than that. And the reason why I say it's better, it starts off, you've got this Indian who's sadly no longer with us. Again, the Poltergeist source. Not long after completing the film, he was doing another film with Ivy Fugo, Firewalker, which he was dying of cancer. You could definitely see him in Firewalker. This poor guy was dying of cancer, and he died of cancer. But you start off again with the Indian chief, the smoking the pipe of peace. You may have heard of it. Spirits go up this guy's nose. Really good scene. I love the scene when he's on the mountains. Really good classical scene. And he's driving on the road, and you see him driving to the original house were in the original Poltergeist. You see fast pats, a bit like Memory Lane, where there's all bits from the original and how it ended, and bits here and there. You see Tantine again. I don't think Tantine, though, this is the only bit I will say is a downer. You don't see her in it. You didn't really see her that much in it in the original. You more or less saw it in the middle and nearly at the end. The bit where she says, this house is clean. But in this, you really do very rarely see her, which is a damn shame because I like Tantine. May she rest in peace as she's no longer with us. But you've got Tantine, that little old lady, and they go down in where the house were, and they find out there was bodies buried there. And you get the idea there's more to it than it used to be a cemetery. You got the idea there's going to be something else going on. This is where you get back to the family from the original. The Fiki family, yeah. Now I do know that the actress that played the older sister sadly lost her life. She was brutally murdered by her boyfriend, and it's very sad. But there's bits of me that wish they would have explained what happened to the sister. I don't know. Maybe they felt uncomfortable having another actress, take the role of the older sister, so they decided to write the character out. But in my eyes, I thought this was just had a story like she moved away, she lived with a boy, well, not a boy, after all the bad luck in real life, but she lived away, she moved with a couple of friends, she's in another house somewhere, or she's gone to college, some story like that to give a nice ending to the bitter sister, because they never explain what happened to the older sister. We know in real life the actress got murdered, but they never explain to the character. It's like what happened to the older sister. But I went with it, and so now the mum and dad they're living with. I think the mother's living with her mum, the grandma, and you got the idea she's going to die. And sadly, she does die. And this is the bit where you get the character Chain, who's his old ghost. And I love the bit where he's going through people and Caroline can only see her, and I think somehow the mum can see her and all, see him. Yeah, the daughter, so he can only see the ghost, and the mother can see the ghost, but she sees him as a human, and she knows he's a ghost because it's bits where people are walking through him, and obviously they don't see him. So I kind of like that. And it's just, people think, wow, didn't he look cheaper, the car that paid chain? Again, the Poltergeist toast. Before the film was completed, this poor guy, and I do feel sorry for the actor in real life, he was riddled with cancer. So there was no makeup on him, there was no special effects to make him look cheaper, didn't need to be. This poor guy was riddled with cancer when they was making Poltergeist 2. So before the film was completed, he actually sadly passed away with cancer. He never completed the film, had to work around his death. There's a bit in it where they used cutaway of the same film halfway through the film where he's walking and he's singing that cheapy song which he sings all the way through the film. Real life, everyone saw him, and because he was all in a bad way, his face was all drawn in and everything. She actually almost broke out into tears. It kind of makes me sad when you think about everyone look and how she departed. But it was very sad. So you've got a really good cast of characters. You've got the family again, the Fiki fam there, which I like. They do funny, they do wacky, a little bit really singing with the mum. If you don't owe me, I just couldn't take it, which we all know is a Beagle song. I love that little touch, a little bit of the youth is going loopy-loo, and you don't want to watch TV because of what happened. But that's when you find out that Jane used to be this priest, and he was a bad priest. He wanted to take people and he buried people alive, including him. He's a typical Bible pastor, using the Bible and saying it's good to commit suicide, which we all know is a sin. Well, it's one of the sins, but sometimes it's a cry for help. And at the end of the day, that's what he did. He buried himself and his own people using the Bible alive in the 18th century, but he never went to the light, and he knew about Sarah Lan. How, I don't know, because that's a different story, but somehow he found Sarah Lan, and he wants Sarah Lan, basically similar story to the original. He wants to lead him and his troopers to the light. So they end up on in the house, and the Indian comes out to help them. He told them that if you keep moving, he's going to keep kind of get you. The Dan already passed away, the grandma. There's a bit in it where she's on the phone. That's what else I like about Poltergeist too. And like the original one, it was always about the TV. In this one, they're always using the telephone. I think in the 80s, in the mid-80s, they always used telephones for some reason in all the films, if you ever noticed that. I think the same there, they did another film called Making Contact. Well, always had something to do with the telephone and all. I was like that little touch in them days of the 80s when it comes to a lot of films, definitely old school. And it does have somewhat of good old school special effects. There's a bit where he got the ghost of Jane and he possesses the dad, right? He has this weird maggot with an eyeball opening up, and the father fights it and he vomits out this big flipping dock-off frigging monster. Good practical effect you're never going to see ever again. You're never going to see it. There was even a scene where they was going to have a face of Jane, which you do see a bit in the film, where he smiles, and I love that scene. And there's a lot more of that, which sadly wasn't shown. But it's a good effect. So they meet the Indian, he tells them what's going to happen, he gives the dad special powers, and they go to the old house. The bit at the end I felt wasn't really needed. It could have bettered the ending where they're all in the light and they're fine about. I'm expecting to see blood in Super Derp, because it looks like the scene from Super Derp. And there's a bit that makes me cry, because the spirits tag Charalan, they're throwing in this thing and you think she's a goner. In real life, what's happened to everyone looks. It's all hard to see now. The mum and dad's crying. And then you've got the spirit of the Janma. She fires off with Charalan. You've got the idea that the spirits have got slapped into the light. They get back to normality land. They say bye-bye to the Indian. They thank him, but then they realise the Indian's got the car. All the way through the film, he wanted the car, what the dad had. This car has got bad vibes. It needs to come with me. And they're raving and everything. And then they realise he's just drove off and left them somewhere else. It's like, come back, take us home. And you get that beautiful ending again, the satisfying ending. The same music was used in number one, that la, 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 la. La 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 la, and that's why I love it. That's why I hate number 3, because that music isn't even in number bloody in 3. They try to make it scary and everything, which I get to that, and you definitely, like before, it will be a rant. It will be a bloody rant, because it made everything they went through in 1 and everything they went through in number 2 pointless. Makes it pointless. But this one, on the other hand, is a damn good film. Is it as good as the original? No. but it's still a damn good sequel. There's a bit with a chainsaw. It's flying at the far for, which originally the film was going to be in 3D, and that's the only bit of 3D gimmick you see, because that's the only bit that was left in 3D. But it was originally going to be in 3D. You know, like when that era when movies had a lot of 3D gimmicks, like Doors 3 come out, and they had, let me think, Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. All those films, 3D films were out. They were going to put this in 3D, but then at the time it was dying out, so it got scrapped. And there's a lot of good things about this film. A bit of the evil spirits are dragging the mum down below, and she freaks out, and it's a nightmare. The bit where the little lad's got braces on, which I had braces when I was a lad, so I know how that feels. And I love the bit where he's looking for the mirror. You got them evil dead bodies staring at him. Really was a scary scene. And they're dragging by the braces, and they've managed to get rid of the evil spirit. So there's some good horror bits in this, just like there were in the original, like the face peeling scene and the bodies and all that. But again, it has a lot of emotion in the film. It has art. It has art. So when the third one did not have, tried to, failed epically, remake, you know what I think of that? Pieces of wood. But this one did have art in it. It wasn't just horror. It still had the same art what the original had. I say it again, was it as good as the original? No. But I still think it's a good, worthy sequel. And in my eyes, it should have ended like that. They should not have made a third one. They should not have made a flipping horrible remake. Granted, to me, I felt the original was good as a standalone film. But I still think the second one is a good film. That being Poltergeist 2. The other side. Into them. Be smart. Be safe. I'm going to the light now. And I'll see you later.